Hey, ooh, Jesus. Hey, yo, and welcome to the Best Ever Podcast. I am your host, Tru Sav, back from the brink of death. I almost didn't make it. These winter colds out here in the Bay, boy, or something else. I've been cold before, but I've never been cold like this before. It's a different kind of cold out here. Like, it's the kind of cold where you can have on a jacket, thermal, and all that, and the wind will blow, and it feels like it's cutting right through your clothes. The only thing that I could say is comparable was when we were in Reno, and it was cold like that, where it was like you walk outside, and then you walk in a house that's 70 degrees, 60, 70 degrees, and there's a distinguishable line between outside and inside. I don't know. Well, I am a little better. I'm feeling back to normal a little bit. Last week was New Year's and New Year's Eve, another drinker's holiday that I don't really partake in, but if you do, God bless you. Nothing too exciting, I must say. I got off from the gym, came home, went to sleep at about 10 o'clock, got up a little later, around 11:45, 11:50. Was like, all right, let's go see the fireworks. So we went up to the roof of the penthouse, and we watched some of the fireworks from Embarcadero in San Francisco. Couldn't really see it. I mean, you could see them, but I mean, it wasn't like we were right there. What was more enjoyable were the fireworks that were here right in West Oakland that we could see right on the other side of the freeway. Shout out to dude across the street who was shooting off the fireworks. It was, as usual, you can't tell if it's fireworks or gunshots. So we enjoyed maybe 2-3 minutes of fireworks, and then we decided we were going to shut it down and go back inside because I had to work the next day at 8 o'clock in the morning. But it was time and a half, so it was enjoyable. This has been a really boring week, I must say. Just work, and more work. But it's the beginning of the new year, 2020. I've almost been eating like a saint. I'm right back there. I have hit the weights a couple times since I've been back, so I'm doing good in that respect. It's a one step at a time. Well, I guess I'll tell you now. So, recently, with the move and my wife's surgery and all that, I haven't really had the time to dedicate myself to you guys. And I was listening to a couple episodes, and I can tell they're not as crisp as they were in the very beginning. And that's my fault. I had to get it together. And partially the reason is because I work all the time. I work like 70 hours a week. So the 2 days I have off, I can't really give you a quality performance. But change is going to come. And the change, I'd like to say that I wanted to make the change, but I didn't. The universe has a strange way of letting you know things need to happen. So like I said, I've been sick and I just haven't been feeling good. So I had called out a couple days, and I never call out from work, ever. Usually my thing is if you're sick, they'll send you home. Like if you call out, it's kind of a gray area because then it's like, oh, were you really sick? Did you just not want to come to work? But these 2 days I was just, I don't know. It must have been the flu or something. Because I wasn't just sick, like I was physically tired, like I couldn't really do anything, so there was no point in me being there. So I just took the weekend off. Sorry. Took the weekend off, just rested. So I come into work in the gym, and it's, hey, how you doing, Tru Sav? Hey, you already know what it is. So the manager wants me to come into the back. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I come into the back, and they tell me, oh, well, we're going to give you this write-up for time and attendance. Time and attendance is basically getting to work on time. Now, the way that 24 works is you get like so many points. Like you can only be late so many times, and I'm still on probation technically because I haven't been there that long. So it's my direct manager and the manager of the entire 24. And they have me in the office and they're telling me how they're showing me on the on this form what days I was late and how late I was late. We're talking 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. Like it's never anything egregious. It's never like an hour, 2 hours, nothing like that. I don't call out that often. So they're giving me the spiel about how I need to be there and how they love me as an employee and so on and so forth. All the stuff they always tell you. So the manager tells me, "Oh well, this is your write-up. Da 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 da. You have to sign this, so on and so forth." Now, this is important because I usually don't sign write-ups. I just never do. Whenever I've had any kind of job, I never sign one. When I get a ticket from the police, I don't sign it. Because what they don't tell you is you don't have to sign anything. All you're saying, and the reason why they do this, the reason why they're supposed to have two people, I do this. I always teach my employees too. Like whenever you give someone a write-up for something, there should always be two of you in the room. It should be you and another manager. It can't be you and another employee. That's not going to work. It has to be someone who is above the person that you're giving the write-up to. And this is important because if I give you a write-up and you don't sign it, and then I just put it in your file, at a later date you can say, well, I didn't get that. Like no, he never talks to me about that, or she never talks to me about that. Very crucial stuff. Also, what I like to put on my write-ups, or even when I get a ticket from a police officer, is forced to sign under threat, duress, or coercion. You're like, well, Tru Sav, what does that mean? Well, if you have something that needs to be signed and you put that nice little phrase under there, in the moment it doesn't necessarily do anything, but if you were to go to court or if you were to have to explain this, when they look at the signature and it says forced to sign under threat, obviously we know what a threat is, do this or else. Duress would be they keep asking you to sign it, or if you say I have to leave and they say no, like you can't leave until you sign this, that would be duress. Coercion would be if they try to trick you into signing it, like, oh well, if you just sign it then you can go, or if you do this it'll just go away. Like those three circumstances are always an issue. So, and I'll come back to why that's important later, because I've actually done that and people have lost their mind when I signed it like that. So again, I signed the paper. No, actually, did I sign the paper? You know what? I signed it this time because she gives me a write-up. She says, you're still on probation, so if you have any more incidents like this, you can get fired. She's like, oh, really? I was like, so basically you're threatening me. And she's like, well, no, that's not what it is. It's just you had called out these last 2 days and you had been late these other days, so we're just letting you know that if this happens again. I was like, yeah, you're threatening me. And don't misunderstand me. I completely understood what she was saying. I didn't take it as a threat at all. But given that I needed a lot of sleep, your boy's been tired. Now, don't get me wrong, the paychecks were well worth it. Well worth it. I paid off all the stuff I needed to pay off. Trips are paid for, so that wasn't a part of it. But it was kind of, I did feel a little disrespected. Because it's like, I come to work, I do what you ask me to do, you don't have any problems out of me. I don't understand the need to try to press me about being 5-10 minutes late. But again, that's fine. So I asked her, I was like, is there anything else you need? She's like, no, if you could just sign this. I was like, all right, no problem. So I signed it. And she's like, is there anything else you'd like to ask? I was like, yes. How do I resign? And they both kind of looked at me like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, with you having me sign this paper, it lets me know that I'm not really valued here as an employee. And they're like, well, yes, you are. Yes, you are. I was like, well, I would beg to differ. Because as you know, I'm a manager a couple doors down. So if I had an employee who I actually valued as an employee, I would pull them to the side and be like, hey, is there a reason why you've been late? Like, I know you're working another job. There's something I can do to fix this. I know you called out last week because you were sick. And I would talk to them and try to figure it out. I wouldn't immediately go to, this is a write-up. If this happens again, you're fired like that. That kind of sets a different kind of precedent when I'm talking to someone. Oh, well, no, we didn't mean that. I was like, look. It's over. You played your hand. Now I'm playing my hand. So I will be resigning. Next Saturday will be my last day. There's nothing else to really talk about. So if you could just bring me that paper, I'm going to go back out to my station. And yeah, there's two of you here, so I know you heard it. Anything else? Nothing? All right. I will see you later. And that was how I quit 24. The looks on their face was worth it. Like I haven't quit a job in a long time. Well, I haven't quit a job that I was upset about. Most of the jobs that I've had, like, I resigned because I got another job or something like that. I haven't just quit a job just off the strength in a while. It felt pretty good, I must say. Only because she thought that she was so tough when she was giving me this write-up. Like, oh, I'm going to show you this. It was like, come on, man. Like, it reminded me of the scene in The Dark Knight with the Batman and the Joker. When Batman tries to get tough with the Joker and he locks the door and he starts beating him up and the Joker's just laughing. And he's like, you have no power here. All of your strength and there's nothing you can do. Oh. I mean, the store manager, he just kind of looked at it like, well, I mean, what do you want him to do? Like, you tried to press him. I don't know why you tried to press him, but hey, stick with your move. You went with it. It didn't work out, Didn't have to do all that. We could have ended this a little bit more amicably. Ironically enough, when I had quit my job in Bakersfield and moved up here, I had retired in a somewhat similar fashion. The guy I was working for, oh my God, he was an asshole. Like, he was just, it was, ooh, they're slamming stuff. So if the quality of recording sounds a little bit different today, it would be because I'm in a common area of the penthouse because Mrs. Tru Sav is sick. So I have been relegated to the little common area. But it's cool. This player, I might have to post a couple of little pictures. This might be where we do our episodes at. I don't know if I can keep people from walking in and out of here. But the guy I worked for, oh my God, he was a piece of shit. Like, I worked at a sandwich place. It wasn't Mr. Pickles. It was like a smaller one. And this guy was a piece of work. So this is where I learned a lot of California law and stuff too about being a manager and such. I was the manager there, and he would have people, if you were part-time, meaning you work less than 6 hours, the rule is to take a lunch. The rule for California is if you work more than 5 hours, then you're required by law to take a break. But if you work more than 5 hours and less than 6, you can waive your lunch. So we call it working a straight 6. So if you work 5 hours and 59 minutes, you can clock out and you're good. You don't have to take a lunch. But of course, if you're working an 8-hour shift, then by law, you have to because you worked more than 6 hours. So what he would do is he would schedule people for 6 hours and then give them a 15. But unbeknownst to them, what he would do is if you work 6 hours, because you'd be scheduled from 10 to 4. He would let you work 10 to 4, but then he would take your break out of your paycheck. So you would have 6 times 5 is 30, 60. So instead of getting paid for 60 hours, you would only get paid for 55. Is that right? Jesus Christ, can I count? Yeah. So you would only get paid for 55, even though you worked 60 for that 2-week period. Because I started looking at because I was the manager, so I would look at people's timesheets and I would be like, well, I didn't take that out. Like, that's weird. So that's super illegal. Like, you can't do that. Like, if I work 6 hours, you can't then take out 30 minutes for a break. So that was an unscrupulous thing he was doing. He would have minors working 8, 9, 10-hour shifts, like, which you can't do. I think minors can only work until 10 o'clock. He would have them there till 10:30, 11. We had a manager who was dating an employee who was like 17, and he had to be like 35. And dude knew, because I had brought it to his attention, like, yo, one of the other managers is dating an employee, and she's like 17, my G. And he kind of just pretended like he didn't hear it. And so it was like, all right, like that's different. But hey, to each his own. If that's what you want to get caught up in, I was willing to let it ride. Like, whatever, bro. The final straw was, it's like you were playing with people's hours. You're letting this grown man date a 17-year-old, whatever. The thing that got me was our tips. So another nice law I learned, that in California, everything above the price of an item is considered a tip. So anytime there's like a tip jar in front of a restaurant, or they have the electronic sheets where you sign something and then add a tip, that's considered a tip, even if it's 2 cents above. So the way the law works is all of that has to go directly to the employees, because the employer's already been paid the price of the goods. So what this asshole would do is he would take the tips that were on the credit cards, anything that was cash we could split at the end of the night. Well, before I got there, that's not what it was, but for the sake of argument. So he would take the tips that were on the credit card machine, and he would collect it all, and over the course of 2 weeks, he would add everything up, and then he would give percentages to people. So whoever worked the most hours would get the biggest percentage of tips. Now, theoretically, this could work if everyone worked the same shifts. But what we started noticing was that on my shift, we would be making $30, maybe $40 a night in tips. So what's that? 400? That's being generous. Well, nah, it wasn't that much. Maybe on a Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we were making 30, 40 a night. On a slower day, maybe 10, 20. But the point being, I would be making $200, $300 every 2 weeks on our tips. the morning crew would be making like $5 a day. So when you would put it all together, we'd be splitting $400 or $500, but the morning crew, specifically one manager in the morning, would get a higher percentage of tips because she worked an 8-hour shift and we would work a 7-hour and 30-minute shift because we were closing. So she would end up getting the lion's share of the tips, but her morning crew never made that much money. So we're like, well, how is that fair? Like, it should just be divided by who worked that day. Or even better yet, just cash them out right then and there. Like, you know what the credit card receipt is going to be. All you have to do is, okay, you worked the morning shift, you guys made $20, split it 4 ways. Okay, night crew, you guys made $60, split it 3 ways, or however many people are working that day. But the way that they were splitting it just made absolutely no sense. And he was like, oh, well, this is my store, and I can split it like this, and like yada, 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 yada. So I was like, all right, man, like, you know what, that's fine. Like, do your thing. So I think the final straw before I had, because I was at the time, because this is in Bakersfield. So while this is happening, we were moving. I had got the call, or my wife had got the call that she was going to get the job up here. So I knew I was going to be quitting. So I let it ride. So weeks go by, months go by. When we go to leave, I don't tell them until the day before. And being Professor Petty, I decided that I was going to buy a card to tell, because instead of putting in my resignation like a regular person, I had to go over the top. So I bought a sympathy card, one for when a family member dies or something. It said, sorry for your loss. And I wrote, effective immediately, I will be resigning from my position at Mr. Pickle's Sandwich Hut, whatever the hell. And on the other side of the card was like, in times like this, you have to stay strong, such and such and such and such. Sorry for your loss. It's me. It signed my name. Brought it in, gave it to him, was like, yeah, so have a good one. And yeah, that one felt good. But what felt even better was I was like, you know what? Yeah, it felt good to just walk out and quit, and it felt good to leave the little letter, but I'm going to take it one step further. So I decided to call the labor board. Now, for those of you who don't know, the labor board is basically the system of check and balances for businesses. So if you're running a business and you're not abiding by certain rules, such as you're working people for more than 5 or 6 hours, not giving them breaks, or you're not giving them their correct paycheck, or you're harassing people, any type of complaint that you have, that's where you would go, is to the labor board. So I had kept immaculate records of all the days where tips weren't divided equally, or when our minor employees were working too long. The minor dating the adult, that's more of a criminal matter. I couldn't really get into that. There was nothing I could really do. So I just kind of let that one ride. But the tips, the taking 30 minutes off of people's checks, and the minors working, those were my 3 things. And the reason why this bothered me so much was because the guy who we were working for, he wasn't stupid. Like, I feel like he thought when he hired me, I was just some guy. Oh, this is just a black guy. Like, he's not really going to know anything. He's not really going to question anything I'm talking about. He was that kind of guy. And the reason why I ended up going to the labor board on him was because in our store there was, 20 employees? And we were one of the smaller stores. He owned 2 more sandwich places because it was a franchise. So at ours there was 20 people. At the other store there might have been 30. And the other location there might have been another 30, 35. So I'm not going to bore you with the math. But if you think about it, and a lot of the people that he hired were Hispanic people. I would say 90%. of each store because I had to go to the other locations to get supplies and stuff from him. And it was people who didn't want a problem. Like, a lot of times, even when I would bring up an issue to them about how he was checking them out or stuff like that would happen, the answer was always the same. They didn't want a problem. They didn't want to create any waves. So this really made me upset because it's like you're picking on people who don't really have the ability to fight back. But you got the right one today. I got time for all of that. So, and again, the reason why it was an issue is because when you're taking money out of people's checks like that, it's really saving him money. Because you figure out of the 20 people that we had, probably everyone who wasn't a manager was working a part-time shift. So if there's 15 people, oh shit, I'm about to do some math. Oh, we said you saved, instead of paying for 60 hours, you're paying for 55. 5 times 15 is 75. So that's 75 hours. Then if you do it, let's see. Oh my goodness. 5 times, we'll say 25, 125. So that's what, 250, 325. Minimum wage is like $15 out here. So it's, damn, 4,875. So you're basically saving damn near $5,000 a paycheck. 10,000 a month. So my man is saving damn near $100,000 a year in salary that he's not paying people because he doesn't want to pay him for a lunch. But you're sweating me about my little $10, $20 for my tips? Nah, brody. That's not going to work. So I go to the labor board, I file my complaint, and they got back to me immediately, within a week. Like, if I had sent it on a Monday or Tuesday, they were back with me by Thursday, Friday. They asked me again, like, okay, this and this and this is happening, this is happening. I was like, yep. If you got any questions, hit me up. I called one of the guys I had met in Bakersfield, and I had talked to him, and he said that the place was closed. The last time he went by, it was closed. And I was like, wait, what? He was like, yeah, it was closed. Something about, like, there wasn't a sign, there wasn't anything. And this was within a month. I had called one of the managers that I used to work with, and I was like, hey, how you doing? How's everything at the store? He's like, dude closed the store, and he moved to LA for some reason. And I was like, what? It's like, he just moved? He was like, yeah. He said the places were getting kind of slow, and it wasn't making that much money, so he had left. I was like, well, just the one that we worked at? And he was like, no, all of them. And I was like, wait, what? That doesn't make sense. Like, that's so weird. So what I'm assuming happened is they came and asked, like, hey, number one, is this true? Well, their main thing was probably the kid, was probably the minor. And then another serious accusation is if people are working 6 hours and you're taking time off of their timesheet, not paying them, like, that's a finable offense. So I'm sure his best bet was to just close up shop and just be like, hey, I'll take my losses. I'll sell everything and just bounce, close it up. I can open something else somewhere. I was like, whew. So yeah, man. I don't feel bad for doing that. I don't feel bad for quitting on 24 like that. Like, what's the meme that everyone always shares is, what is it? Take your sick time. Like, don't kill yourself for these corporations. Because as soon as you die, they're going to have somebody right there in your spot replacing you the next day. Like, health is wealth. And that's, listening to old episodes made me think about that, and then just being sick and the ease with which they were ready to threaten me with firing me because I was gone because I was sick. Like, what? Like, I forgot. I had to get back to the good old days. There's a savage in here somewhere. Like, he's old, but he's still in there. And it felt so good to walk out. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had quit other jobs. I worked at like Taco Bell, Jack in the Box. I had walked out like, yeah, kiss my ass. I'm not working here anymore. But the look on her face when she was just like, wait, what? You're just going to... I was like, yeah, sweetheart, like, you forgot. Like, you thought I needed this job. You thought I was like everyone else here, like begging for hours, and if I don't work here, like, I'm just going to be destitute. Like, no. That's definitely not what this was. This was extra money. Like, I just didn't mind working. You needed people to cover some more shifts. That's what I'm here for. Uh-oh. I'm dropping stuff all over the place. Jeez. I'm going to get kicked out of the new studio already. Good Lord. But yeah, I had, Jesus, sorry. With signing paperwork and stuff, with that threat, duress, and coercion thing, I had learned that doing adverse possession. So like traffic tickets, any kind of contract really. Anything where they tell you that you have to sign something, you're getting that off top. I did it on a parking ticket, or it was a moving violation. I got a ticket, and I was like, yeah, do I have to sign this, officer? He's like, yes, you have to sign it. Oh, thank you. Forced to sign under threat, duress, or coercion. I mean, in that particular circumstance, it didn't really matter because I went to court and it ended up getting thrown out, but it didn't really matter. But it did scare the officer because he knew what it meant. I had did it when I first started working at Dickies. I had did that. This kid I was working with, he was like, what was he? 18, 19, something like that. And he was the manager and he was trying to assert his authority. He gave me a write-up for something stupid. You didn't wipe down your area before you left. Something. So I was like, do I have to sign this? And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh, perfect. Forced to sign under threat, duress, or coercion. I didn't even make it home before the store manager called me and was like, the owner is losing his fucking mind right now. Like, what does that mean that you wrote on the paper? And I was like, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I was forced to sign this under threat, duress, or coercion. Like, does that mean that you're going to sue this and this and this and that? I was like, what? No. It's like, oh, okay. I see you guys really don't understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay. All this is saying is that if it ever goes to HR or anything like this, I'm saying that I did not want to sign this. The person who wanted me to sign this threatened me, or they coerced me, or I signed this under duress. That's all that means. I'm not going to sue anybody. I'm not going to do anything like that. So she's like, whew, okay. Like, the owner lost his mind, this and this and this and this and this and this and this. I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, you need better managers. Probably one named Tru Sav. But that actually is funny that, yeah, I ended up not being the manager of that one, but a different one when we moved out here. And that was how I became GM. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, between that and between quitting this job, like, there's no better feeling than telling a motherfucker to kiss my ass. Like, there's just, sometimes telling somebody fuck you is the best thing ever. Like, and just not in jobs, like in relationships, in your relationship with your partner. I'm struggling for words here because I'm trying to think about how I want to word this. Sometimes I think that we're not honest with people, mainly ourselves. So sometimes instead of really telling somebody, you know what, fuck this job, fuck you, I fucking hate you, like you swallow it and you just take it and be like, yeah, you know, I really don't mind that you want me to work this overtime shift, or I really don't mind that you're trying to play my paycheck, or I don't mind such and such and such. It's like when you really do. And again, making every day the best day ever, like you just have to be honest with people. Like it's amazing what you can get away with when you tell the truth. Like I always tell employees, like if you don't like something that I'm doing, just tell me. If you're unhappy with something, now that doesn't mean you can walk up and be like, fuck you, Tru Sav, this, like that, I'm not going for that. But what I do mean is, if you're unhappy with the schedule that I've given you, if you're unhappy with something that I've said, if you're unhappy with the customer, like don't hold that in. I don't want this to become a situation where you're upset and you feel that you have to stifle what you want to say because I'm going to be upset with you, or I'm going to be mad, or you think I'm going to retaliate. Like, you've only got one shot at this thing called life. Like, you have to say what you want to say. Just like in the, we talked about the Jordan Peterson, oh my goodness, what was it? It was like 40 ways to live your best life. The first 3, make your bed, be honest, and master your shadow. When he was saying be honest, he was like, you have to be honest about everything. Because if you're honest, that negates the regret part. Because if you're honest, you know that this is the best outcome that could have ever happened. Because when you're being honest with someone, you're saying, hey, you know, I didn't like this, and then I respond, you know that you addressed the issue and you know that it's been dealt with. But if you hold it in until it boils over, then that's when something bad happens. Because while everything you're saying could be true, you're not really going to be in the best mind state. So if you feel that I'm picking on you for something, for you being late or something like that, and you keep it bottled up, when you finally explode and you're like, fuck you, Tru Sav, you did this and this and this, I'm not really going to want to hear that. Now am I? And now you've created a whole nother situation where now, instead of this being a situation where we're trying to resolve this, now you've turned it into another conflict. So tell your boss, fuck him. No, don't say that. You're going to get fired and be like, Tru Sav told me, no, I didn't tell you to do shit like that. But you need to make it a point of being honest. And sometimes you do need to tell your boss, fuck you, like quit that job. Like let me rephrase this. If you're in a situation where you can get another job or something like that, you can make things go, you can still make things work, then do it. Take that risk, start a business, work for yourself, work for someone you know. If things aren't working out, if you're not healthy and happy, then why are you doing it? Health is wealth. The same way that I was like, damn, I was like, after the wedding, I was like, I got to get my shit together. I can't just be the old fat nigga. Like, that's just not going to work. Like, I've got to take care of my health, mentally, physically, financially. Like, I got to do it. Like, especially when it's like, if you're feeling like you're upset with your current situation, if you're upset for no reason, like there's just a lingering anger, maybe that's it. Because you're not really happy, you're just going through the motions, you're doing what you feel like people want you to do, your spouse wants you to do, your boss wants you to do. You got to do what makes you happy. I mean, I'm still not in the particular situation where I'm really doing what I want to do, but as soon as this PlayStation drops, I'm on it. And speaking of the PlayStation, that reminds me. When I see my mom, it's on site. Me and my mom are gonna fight in real life, like real fucking life. So, as we all know, fuck Christmas, fuck Thanksgiving, fuck Hanukkah, all that. I'm not here for your holidays. So I told you guys why I'm not really a big fan of Jesus' birthday, a.k.a. Christmas, a.k.a. spend a whole bunch of money for nothing. I got the short end of the stick on the PlayStation 2. And even though it was 20 years ago, I'm not going to let it go whatsoever. So I'm talking to my mom. We went out there, did the Christmas thing, called New Year's, hey, woo woo. So I'm talking to my mom, and she's like, yeah, I got Jaden her presents. She did her LOL surprises and her whatever, Beanie Babies, whatever kids like nowadays. And she told me that, I got her something else too. Oh, what'd you get her? Oh, I got her a PlayStation 4. I said, you got her a what? Yeah, it's something called a PS4 or something, some kind of video game thing. I was like, oh, you bought an 8-year-old a PlayStation 4, huh? Now, mind you, she doesn't have anything. She doesn't have any video game consoles. She's, as far as I've known, I've never seen her play one. I've seen her play on the phone before, but I've never seen her play on the PlayStation. So I'm just like, yo, I was like, how much was that? It's like, I think it was like $350 something. I was like, oh. She's like, what, dude? What's wrong? Be like, nothing. You bought a fucking 8-year-old a PlayStation 4, and I begged you for a PlayStation 2. That was like $100. You know what? I gotta go. So I'm gonna call you back later. Okay, bye. See you later. And I promptly hung the phone up on her. I cannot believe this. Like, bro, I begged and begged for this PlayStation, and now you've bought this small child one who can't even appreciate it. So I finally broke down. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to buy one. And it's funny the way the universe works, because when I had this conversation, I hadn't yet talked to my boss at 24 yet. So I was like, you know what? I know I'm never even really going to be home to play the PS4, but I'm just going to get one. I figure I can get an hour or two on the weekend. Maybe if I stay up all night, I can get one and lose some sleep. But hey, like, I got to be happy. Like, who cares? And the way it worked out, where she tried to press me, I for whatever reason, good luck with that. So I think I'm gonna have to. I finally made a decision. I'm gonna have to break down and get one. But I don't know what I'm gonna play. It's been so long. I think the last thing I had was an Xbox 360, and that was like 5 years ago. I mean, Madden and 2K are a must. Maybe a God of War. I think Days Gone was supposed to be a good one. Red Dead Redemption. I'm not even rocking with Grand Theft Auto. I don't have time for all that. I can already see. I'm gonna get caught up. I'm gonna be up for 2-3 days straight, because I've seen that. The what is that? The little in-game world for Grand Theft Auto is something else. Like, there's people just living on there that haven't got off the game in 4 or 5 years. I can already see. Like, the game came out 7-8 years ago. It hasn't even. They've just been doing updates. So I'm good. I'm gonna stick to 2K and maybe a little bit of Madden. I might try to sneak an RPG in there somewhere, RPG role-playing game, something like that. Then I can get this Twitch popping, because now I have to work from 7 in the morning until 3 at night. So now we can get some more quality content on here. We can get this Twitch popping. Oh yeah, as soon as I get this PlayStation, I will be more than happy to drop a username so anybody who wants it can come get it. Whatever you want it in. Madden, 2K. Just so you know, I'm rocking with the 49ers, the Kings, and if we had baseball, I'd rock with the A's. I might even get NASCAR Heat if you want it. I don't know. WWE, ooh, wrestling? Yeah, I might have to rock. I don't know. It's been so long. This is a Christmas present to myself. Even though we don't believe in Christmas, this is the best day ever present. I'm gonna rock out. Now, my wife is not too happy. I told her I'm getting the PlayStation, and I'm like, look, if you can buy vacations for yourself and trips here and trips there and go out of town there and go with the girls, then I can get a PlayStation. I hope she's I sound really tough right now until she runs up on me about this PlayStation, but I don't know. I'm super excited. I'll let you know. If I can find a bundle, I think PlayStation had a bundle for like $250. It's a PlayStation, like 3 games, and then hopefully 2K and Madden are going to be cheap. But in the next month, your boy's going to have that PS4 popping. So again, bestdayeverpodcast.com. Hit me up with your usernames for Madden, 2K. Anybody can get it. This I'm laughing because I still just can't get over the look on this lady's face when I told her, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and resign. You can have it. And just like with the with the people I work with, the one thing that I always tell them is there's a difference between a boss and a leader. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, well, they're like, well, you're our boss. And I was like, no, technically I'm your boss, but I don't want to be your boss. Boss, where I come from, is an acronym. I was like, an acronym? I was like, yeah, BOSSS. I was like, well, what did it mean where you came from? I was like, boss means big old sack of shit. So I don't like when people are like, hey, boss. Like, they think that it's some sort of term of endearment. And I'm like, if you want to show me some respect, just call me sir. Like, it's cool. And I'll call you sir or ma'am or lady or miss, whatever you like. But please don't call me a boss. And, well, now that I'm fired, fuck it, I can talk about her. Yeah, she was a piece of shit. Nice person, I think. Not really, but a lot of the issues that they were having at this location was, and it's a gym. Like, how do you fuck up a gym? Like, you hire people, they check people in, you put equipment up, you come back. And this was really a case of a fish rots from the head. Meaning that a fish starts at the top and it goes down. Like, if you have bad employees, you just have bad employees. But if you have a culture where the higher ups manifest this kind of behavior, I shouldn't say manifest, where this sort of behavior is allowed, then it's going to filter down to bad employees. What I mean is, there's no accountability. Ever. Like, if something went wrong, she would never take responsibility for it and be like, oh, okay, that was my mistake. I didn't put out some more forms for you guys to fill out. That was my fault. It was always, well, why didn't you guys do it? You know where the forms are at. And it's like, well, you're the fucking boss. Why didn't you do that? Some other things that I tell them are the differences is that your boss will be a know-it-all. We all know that person in the office. They know every fucking thing. They know every way to fix something, but they never do it. Instead of being a know-it-all, a leader is always willing to learn something. So if you present them with something, instead of saying, oh, I knew that, it's like, oh, well, thank you for bringing that to me. Now you're making the employee feel like they're contributing to what's going on, instead of just being like, oh, well, if they knew that, then they don't really need me. Like, that's uh-oh, we might have a Cindy Mac fax. Nah, we don't have time for Cindy Mac fax today. I'll call her later. Some other things that a boss does that a leader doesn't do is they talk more than they listen. And oh, Jesus. Yeah, that was her favorite thing to do. She would always tell us, she always wanted to have these staff meetings and tell us what was going on, but she never really asked for input, which is what I try to do as a leader. I listen more than I talk. Obviously, I'm going to give you a few directives here and there, but it's more, one of the first things I ask every week is, what are we doing that's good? What are we doing that needs improvement on? What can I do to make your job easier for you? And that's always a question I ask. Like, yeah, it's good to let people know that things are going all right, but I found that it's even more important to ask them what's going on with them, not only at work, but in their personal life. And it's like, yeah, people say you're supposed to separate your personal life from your work life, but we all know that we spend more time with our coworkers than we do our families. I see you 8 hours every day. Like, there's going to be things that happen that are going to be annoying to you. Shit, it might be me. It might be a customer. It might be a way that I've asked you to perform certain duties, or it might just be me saying it's the best day ever. I have had employees that tell me that shit gets on their nerves, so I don't say it to them. I say, hey, Tru Sav, how you doing today? Hey, you already know. I'll say that, or I'll just try not to even get into it. But that's me respecting them. Like, you have to, if you're going to lead, you have to give them something to lead. You have to give them something to follow, which she never does. Boss gives answers or criticizes. Oh, Jesus Christ. If that wasn't her. By gives answers means it's definitive. So like if you say, hey, why didn't this bread get here? Oh, it's because you guys ordered it late or something like that. It's your guys' fault. In opposition, I try to seek solutions and encourage people. So if you bring the same problem, why is the bread like this? Well, I'm not sure. How do we go about making this easier? What do you think we should do to fix this? I think we should do this. What do you think? Okay, I like that idea. Good job. So now I've proven that, or even as far as with an employee, they know that I'm going to ask for their opinion. And even if I don't necessarily use their opinion, I'm going to encourage them to at least speak up so that they know that I actually give a damn about what they're talking about. Your boss, oh Lord, your boss is going to point out weaknesses. Yeah. Instead of recognizing natural gifts. This is a super simple one. They're going to focus more on criticizing. So they're always going to bring up what you don't do well, which is never going to work. Because, like, yeah, we all know where our shortcomings are. But the thing is, you have to, and this is for work or relationships, I know there's certain things that my wife doesn't do well. She knows there's certain things I don't do well. But if you emphasize the things that they do well and you create a system where that is, like, for example, policies and procedures, not really my thing. As long as the job gets done, that's all I care about. So if we're doing a detailed analysis of certain policies and stuff like that, I'm going to pass that to someone else. But if it's customer service or if it's talking to people, I got you. I'm 100% in there. But I know that I'm going to have to pass the policy one off to Becky or something. Or if it's making sure that all of the buns are labeled, like, I'm not really going to do that. But there's people who are detail-orientated like that, and that is your job, whether it be, again, at work or in a relationship, to figure out people's strengths and weaknesses and do that. And again, you have to let them know that they're doing a good job, that they're making this way easier for you. Because people just want to be appreciated at the end of the day. Nobody wants to get told that they suck all the time. It's like, Jesus. Which goes into the next one, directs. So a boss directs, meaning that they just tell you what to do. Do this, do that, go over here, go over here. Why isn't that being done? Da, 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 da. A leader coaches. So the whole point of coaching is, it's just like the old parable. What is it? Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach him how to fish, then he'll never go hungry. Coaching is, I'm showing you how to do it so that you don't need me. So that if I'm not here today, you don't need me being over your shoulder, pointing, do this, do this, do this. You already know what time it is. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. We need to put this in. It's 8:30. We need to load this. We need to take this out. And now I have a whole team full of superstars instead of a bunch of people who are just waiting for me to tell them what to do. That's how people grow. That's how, again, it's amazing how this mirrors relationships. Because it's the same thing in a relationship. If you're just telling the other person, do this, do that, then they're just going to be waiting for your command. But if you coach them and you're saying, hey, this is the program we're on, this is how it's running, and it goes both ways, whether it be you telling your significant other, them telling you, but you've got to be open to being coached. You have to be coachable. The one thing that I wasn't good at, apparently, according to Coach Lombardi, bitch ass motherfucker. A boss defends their ego. Oh, she was good at that one. Very good. Defends their ego and focuses on themselves. I'm laughing because she literally did this. We had, like, if we sell a certain amount of, like, we have like protein powders and whey proteins and different workout stuff in the lobby. She called the staff meeting to tell us we're having this sale and so on and so forth, and whatever 24 gets the most sales, the manager gets an Apple Watch. Yeah, I know, right? So she called a meeting to tell us that we need to work on getting sales because whatever store gets the most sales, she gets an Apple Watch. It was like, well, what? Number one, why are we even concerned with that? Like, that has nothing to do with us. Like, if we sell stuff, we sell stuff. Like, people are going to buy what they buy. And then why would we be motivated to sell more stuff so that you can get an Apple Watch? Like, that doesn't, like, so my approach would have been, well, the counter to defends their ego and focuses on themselves is reveals vulnerability, focuses on the team. So very quickly, if the roles were reversed, if that was me, I would have brought up the Apple Watch. I would have said, if we win, we get an Apple Watch. Or I get an Apple Watch. Now, but what I will do is, if we do win, I will sell the Apple Watch and we can have a party. Or we can bust down the money and we'll split it evenly amongst everyone who does some sales, something like that. Because who's going to work hard for me for an Apple Watch? So I can, or I'm sorry, who's going to work hard for you so you can rock this new Apple Watch? Apple Watch $400 or $500. Like, you can't buy one? And even still, there's only a couple of us here. There's only, 10 people in the front desk? You were to bust that thing down. Like, but again, this is what people do. It's about their egos. It's not about anyone else. And then again, with revealing vulnerability, I found that works. That works better than anything. Because when you're the stoic, uncaring, unfeeling boss, then people don't feel the connection. But I've had personal conversations with employees about not how something at work made me feel, but maybe something in my personal life where we missed a deadline or we missed maybe a sales thing. And I was like, or you know what? Even when they come late or when they call out and they try to get upset, it's like, look, I go out of my way to try to make sure you guys get your tip money. I make sure that you guys get the schedule you want. And, it hurts my feelings when you do that. When you call out 30 minutes into a shift, when you show up hungover, like, I'm going out of my way to do stuff for y'all. And I'm not going to pretend like it's the worst feeling ever, but I feel like shit sometimes when you guys do that to me. Like, that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't take a percentage of the tips like the other managers do. I don't really get on y'all when you show up 5-10 minutes late. Like, I let a lot of stuff slide. So when you're doing that, like, I feel like you're being outright disrespectful. And that hurts. And they see that I'm being sincere, and it's like, okay, like, my bad, big homie. Like, I shouldn't have done that. Because if I just come from a place of, who do you think you are? Like, I'm your boss. You're not going to talk like that to me. Then they're like, well, fuck you. Then it becomes an adversarial relationship, and that's not what we want. Let's see. Puts blames on others. Oh, my God. I feel like a lot of these are just rewording the same thing. Puts blames on others. A leader takes responsibility. Now, that one, let's see. I feel like encourages vulnerability. Those are some of the important ones. Because like I said earlier, she was quick to blame some shit on people. Oh, well, the front was this because this person, so on and so forth. I've I've taken the blame for shit that they fucked up before. Like, we had a takeout order, like we had a catering order that they messed up, and the customer called back and was like, oh, something, this employee didn't. I was like, you know what, that was my fault. I made that order. I put the wrong kind of meat in there. How can I fix it? And that lends more credibility than anything, because they know they fucked up. Like, they know it was a fireable offense. Even if it's something little, where someone gave out the wrong order to someone who was sitting in the lobby, or they gave them the incorrect change. It was like, you know what, that was my fault. I was rushing them. They weren't paying attention. It was completely my fault. Especially with, I don't want to say with younger people, but people who aren't so good at dealing with customers, they will appreciate it more because it's already a high pressure situation. They don't do good with people. And for you to 100% take the blame, like, hey, it was my fault, it wasn't them, people will respect the fuck out of you for that. Even in a relationship, I've done that where my spouse has messed up something, and it was going to be an awkward situation explaining to someone that they messed it up. So I was like, you know what, my bad, I did that. There was, as a matter of fact, my wife, well, don't tell anybody, this is a secret between all of us. She had backed the car into like a pole while we were parking. And it wasn't a very noticeable dent, like, well, no, let me stop lying. It was a pretty good sized dent. But I always give her a hard time about her driving. And we were at a family function. So instead of airing her out to dry, I just took the blame for it. And I was like, yeah, you know, such and such. I was backing up and I wasn't paying attention, and I ran into a pole. And this was 10 years ago, like when we first started dating. So to this day, her family still makes fun of me about backing into this pole at this parking lot or whatever that I absolutely did not do. And sometimes I forget. I think, what do you, like, she did, oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, haha. And she just kind of gives me a smile from across the room. Because, I mean, I could easily have aired her out and be like, no, that was her. Ha, ha, ha. But when you're accountable for things, even if it's something that you didn't do, like, people really appreciate that, because it's an awkward situation for some people. And there's no need to try to pass the buck or pass the blame. Like, hey, whatever. Ha ha. Hope you got your little laugh on, guys. Whatever. Finally, last but not least, a boss demands results. That's the, you're going to be here on time or else. If you don't do this, you're fired. You're on suspension. All that whack shit the bosses do. A leader, they're going to inspire performance. Firsthand, there's been times where I'm saying money's funny. So at work, we're shorthanded. So we might have one person cutting meat, one person doing sides. I'm on the register, somebody's busting sides. Now they know that if they're working my shift, number one, I don't take tips, even if it's just the four of us, because I don't want to say lead by example, but again, I need to inspire you guys. I need something to happen so that you guys won't feel like you're getting played to come at work. I mean, yeah, you're making $15-something an hour, $16 an hour. But I mean, this shit is hard. Especially, there's parts in the morning where, especially when lunch rush comes, you've got 15, 16 people in line, and it's horrible. It's hot. I 100% feel it. I've had the dishwasher come from the back sometimes and help make sides. Like, it's that bad. But I tell them, like, look, I'll never take a percentage of the tips ever. Ever. I don't care how busy it gets. I don't care what's going on. Like, I'm never going to take tips. So everything that goes in that tip jar is yours. So not only do I give them the cash tips, but I cash out the credit card tips right there. So as you know, like, I'm in there wheeling and dealing. I'm talking to people, hey, how you doing? Woo, ha, nice tie. Oh, good to see you. So the tip jar is popping. Like, on a minimum, the minimum they go home with is at least $20. at least, every day. So really, we're making $60, $70 in tips every shift. So I could be faulty and be like, oh, well, like I need my issue. But it's like that $15 that I would get a shift, $15, $20, that builds more credibility with the crew now. Because they know if someone calls out and then I call them in like, hey, yo, I need you to come in today. I'm sorry it's late notice. They know they're going home with at least $20, $30. And it's cash. So it's not even like you got to report it. Which in the end is like, if you think about it, if you work with me, you're making an extra $200 in your paycheck. $200 is all you really need to get through for the week. You figure, what, $10 from some little bullshit meal, $10 in gas, or however you want to break it down, $5 for gas, $5 for whatever your little vice is, something to eat. I mean, and that's before you get your paycheck. So I have yet to be turned down for somebody to come in early because you already know what time it is. I'm not going to be lazy. I'm not that manager that's in the back hiding. I'm not going to blame you for shit. Like, we're going to have a good time. We're going to make this money. And it's like, that's what people need to understand. Like, and again, I don't dislike this lady. I know I'm calling her whack and all this other type of shit. But she doesn't understand what it is to be a leader. Like, okay, you're in charge. Like, but you're only here because you've been here the longest. You've been here for 10 years, so you worked your way up the ladder. There was times where your homies were in charge, so they made you the manager. But you want me to respect the position and not you. It's like, I'm older than you, Wody. Like, I'm going to respect you off top just because you're in a position of power and I'm going to respect the position. But respect is earned, ma'am. Like, you can't just press people and it's like, then you wonder why you can't keep good people. You wonder why no one will stay. It's like, you wonder why all of these things are going bad and it's like, maybe it's you. And this is true for relationships, for jobs. Again, if you're not happy in your relationship, you're not happy in your job, maybe it's you. Maybe it's not your boss. Maybe it's not the clients. Maybe it's not your spouse. Maybe it's you. I mean, I had to look at myself and say that. Like, well, damn, Tru Sav, how come everything's fucked up? Well, the common denominator in the situation is me. Maybe I need to get it together. Maybe I'm doing something that's making people view me in a certain way. Personal accountability, man. Oh, shit, we're into overtime. Oh. Whew. Well, it's a good start to the year. I'm free. I only have to work one job, so I have more time to focus on you beautiful people. All of you. Man, Australia, Indonesia, India, Canada, the Philippines. Shout out to y'all. We're international. Player with a passport. We're doing it big. Again, this PlayStation is coming. I don't know when. I'm going to make this happen, though. We're going to get this Twitch popping. Again, I'm pretty sure it's going to be, it might be Tru Sav. Tru Sav is going to be the gamer tag. Tru Sav 510, something like that. I don't know. bestdayeverpodcast@gmail.com. Send me your gamer tags. Like, I got you. Or if you got Twitch accounts, let me know. I'll follow you because I'm going to start beating that ass. Health is wealth. I'm here to tell you. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Tru Sav Comedy, bestdayeverpodcast@gmail.com. For your questions, comments, and concerns. Take care of yourself, man. Remember, health is wealth. If you don't like that job, fuck it. You don't like that relationship, fuck it. Get up out of there. Take care of yourself. I can't get yesterday back. I might not get tomorrow, so that makes today the best day ever. Peace.